さあ始めようか。
Otto von Bismarck once said, "Only a fool learns from his own mistakes. The wise man learns from the mistakes of others." This seemingly simple phrase carries a brutal truth. We don't always need to crash and burn in order to grow. We can look at the failures, falls, and tragedies of those who came before us, even those we call villains, and learn lessons that save us from repeating the same paths. That is exactly why analyzing figures like Akaza in Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Infinity Castle is so fascinating. Villains are not just monsters created for entertainment. They are often distorted mirrors of our own flaws, extreme versions of what we might become if we let pain and trauma consume us. While heroes inspire us by example, villains teach us through warning. They show us not only what we can achieve, but also what we can lose. And Akaza in particular is the perfect portrait of this. A young man named Hakuji who only wanted to protect those he loved, but who ended up becoming one of the most feared demons in the world of Kimetsu no Yaiba. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." Jung reminded us, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, taught, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." These three phrases resonate deeply with Akaza's journey. Behind his monstrous rage lies a young man scarred by pain, trauma, and loss. A young man who longed for purpose, but ended up lost in darkness. The unique psychological thesis of this video is simple yet devastating. Strength without purpose destroys. Untreated trauma consumes. But even in the deepest darkness, a spark of humanity may remain. Prepare yourself. Today we'll dive into Akaza's mind, and in doing so, dive into our own. In Infinity Castle, Akaza reappears as one of the most striking presences among the upper moons. And it's no accident. He is not just brute force, but a symbol of pain transformed into violence. To understand the villain, we must go back to the boy. Hakuji was born poor, with a sick father who depended on medicine that never came. To support him, Hakuji stole, not out of malice, but survival. He was beaten, jailed, and branded with tattoos on his arms, so everyone would know, criminal. What does a boy do when society stamps his skin as if he were defective merchandise? Hakuji carried the stigma, but also carried his father's love. Until that love was ripped away, ashamed of his son's crimes, his father took his own life. That was the first rupture, the first trauma, the first invisible scar. Homeless, fatherless, purposeless, Hakuji threw himself into the streets searching for something to ease his anger. He found it in fights. The boy who was beaten became the young man who beat others. His life was no longer about living, but about enduring. And then the turning point. Master Keizo took him in at a dojo, offering him shelter and food in exchange for caring for his sick daughter, Koyuki. For the first time, Hakuji experienced love, stability, belonging. He smiled, he loved, he believed again. But fate was cruel. Jealous rivals poisoned the dojo's water, killing Keizo and Koyuki. Everything Hakuji had regained was torn away once more. His response was blood. He single-handedly massacred the rival dojo. It was in that moment of hatred that Muzan found him and turned him into a demon. Thus Akaza was born, the upper rank 3, the monster who faced Rengoku in the Mugen Train arc, the demon who symbolizes the endless pursuit of strength. And here begins our analysis. Akaza is not just a villain, he is the living question. What happens when pain finds no cure? Akaza's greatest flaw is not violence, but the lack of purpose. As a human, he sought strength to protect. When he lost everything, strength became an end in itself. As a demon, his only goal was to fight strong warriors. He even refused to fight women, not out of kindness, but from a twisted code of honor. Psychologically, this is known as frozen trauma, when someone is stuck in the moment of pain, repeating the same pattern as if trying to relive and repair the past. By constantly seeking stronger opponents, Akaza seemed to cry out, "If I had been stronger, Keizo and Koyuki wouldn't have died." His central flaw was living to fix a past that could not be changed. How many of us do the same? How many of us carry the weight of a mistake, a loss, and spend our lives trying to prove something to ghosts? Another flaw was his inability to face vulnerability. Hakuji never wept for Keizo or Koyuki. He never mourned. He turned his pain into rage and his rage into violence. Psychology teaches us, what is not mourned is acted out. If we don't shed tears, we shed blood. Akaza then is the living metaphor of a man who never learned how to grieve, and so he made others grieve. But it would be unfair to reduce Akaza to just a monster. Inside him, fragments of Hakuji still resisted. He had a sense of honor. He refused to fight women. He respected courageous opponents. He recognized others' strength without envy, but with a desire for self-improvement. This already made him a different kind of demon, complex, contradictory, and there was something else, the persistence of love's memory. Deep down, Akaza was still searching for Keizo and Koyuki. Every fight was unconsciously an attempt to honor the promises he could never fulfill. His duel with Rengoku proved this. He offered the Hashira the chance to become a demon because he respected him. To Akaza, strength deserved to be eternal. This wasn't just brutality. It was in its own way a twisted form of admiration. And finally, his greatest quality, the capacity to repent. In the instant of his death, when Tanjiro and Giyu defeated him, Akaza remembered everything. His father, Keizo, Koyuki, promises, smiles, interrupted dreams. And he wept. He asked for forgiveness. He smiled as he imagined himself married to Koyuki. It is here that humanity returned. It is here that the villain took his leave as a man. Akaza's journey gives us 5 fundamental psychological lessons. Strength without purpose destroys. Raw energy without direction becomes violence. A knife can cook or kill. Human strength must have a greater meaning. Unprocessed trauma becomes a prison. Hakuji never worked through his losses. We must process ours. Through therapy, friendships, art, spirituality. Anything that allows us to feel and heal. Our humanity persists. Even as a demon, Akaza preserved a code of honor. This reminds us, there is always a thread, however thin, that connects us to who we were. Redemption is possible. Akaza's death does not absolve him, but it redeems him. It shows that it is never too late to acknowledge our mistakes, even if only in the final breath. We can learn from others. By looking at Hakuji's downfall, maybe we don't need to fall as hard. As Bismarck said, the wise learn from others' mistakes. Now I ask you, what if Akaza were you? If you had lost everything, father, home, love, would you have acted differently? If you had been branded a criminal since childhood, would you have chosen another path? And if at the height of your pain, someone offered you infinite strength in exchange for your humanity, would you say no? That is Demon Slayer's provocation. Akaza is not just a villain. He is the reflection of our vulnerability. He shows us that any one of us faced with enough loss can lose ourselves, but he also shows us that any one of us can find our way back to the light. We return to Bismarck, Nietzsche, Jung, and Frankl. Without a why, Hakuji was lost. Without awareness of his trauma, he became enslaved to fate. Without changing himself, he sank into darkness. But in the end, he offers us a gift, learning. Akaza is the warning that unprocessed pain can turn into destruction. But he is also the reminder that the memory of love can save us. He is proof that even the most monstrous being may carry a spark of humanity. So I ask you, what is the purpose of your strength? Do you fight to protect or only to win? Are you learning from your mistakes? Or better yet, from Hakuji's mistakes? May Akaza's tragedy become our wisdom. May his downfall become our warning. And may we, unlike him, choose life, healing, and love. Because deep down we all carry a bit of Akaza within us. The difference is, will we feed it or will we transform it? If this video touched you, remember, don't let your trauma become your master. Let it become your teacher. And of course, share this video before Muzan finds out you've been learning psychology from his demons.